I had to go up and clean up the Starlink from all the pollen and the receiver, and then put it up a little bit higher. So hopefully we have a better reception. All right, so Democrats, and I won't blame it all on Democrats. So it's just a political class which uses mortgage fraud to the tune of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars to basically fraud and use that money probably to keep themselves in power, cheat, all that stuff, pay off people to cheat for them. It is being exposed. So we have recently, now they tried to pin it on, Letitia James tried to pin it on Donald Trump. It's like the party that is the most guilty, I guess, thought that they could get away with, they were protected, and so they could just push it off on somebody else, the cheating and the lying and the stealing and the fraud that they are doing on an innocent man, Donald Trump. So, of course, they did it up in New York, Manhattan court, which is the most corrupt court in the United States. They got a little bit of traction with it, but eventually it kind of petered out, right? Nothing really came of it. Although there was a lot of press on it. A lot of people thought that Trump would be going to jail and so forth, but, he didn't. And he's exposing a lot of things, not only the fraud within the judicial system, but also the fraud within the Democrat Party, the fraud within, mortgages. All right. So they tried to create some kind of scam fraud on Trump. It didn't work out. He's squeaky clean, and he's been involved in it for all this time. You think they would have found it by now, but all the banks, love to work with him. He's almost been bankrupt before. He worked himself out of bankruptcy. Never, filed for bankruptcy. So this is one of the things that, they, like to do. They like to find some kind of weakness and press it and press it and press it until they think that if they press it enough, that people will believe it's truth. And it didn't work out that way for them. Right now, it's starting to backfire. So I've been exposing this for quite a long, for years. Fortunately, just happened upon a gentleman that was like, can I come on your show and talk about all this fraud that I'm finding as a former detective in Nashville, Tennessee? And I was like, yeah, that sounds exciting. He exposed a lot of stuff. Sean Taylor. All right, Sean Taylor's been on my show and many other people's show for a long time. He has been, the last I heard, he was going to the Department of Justice, and they were taking it to a very high level. And of course, this was after Trump got in office, because they've tried to kill him, as they have many of us. He's has had to leave his property. He doesn't stay in one place for more than a month. He's been really targeted quite heavily. I've tried to get him on the show several times over the last several months, but it's not the timing yet. So when the timing's right, he will come out and expose more of the mortgage fraud that mainly the Democrat Party uses, right? And like I said, it's probably in the hundreds of billions of dollars, guys, maybe even the trillions. That's what he has said. So let's look at some of this ridiculousness that is going on. So Adam Schiff is the current winner of the Dumbass Award for basically, that's not the one I wanted. The Dumbass Award that's basically Europe going into turmoil because the illegal migration of illegal aliens. So Trump says Adam Schiff must be brought to justice over mortgage fraud allegations. So like I'm saying, the implications of this are far more than just Adam Schiff and Letitia James. So Letitia James, who was the one that was pushing the mortgage fraud on Donald Trump, is actually doing mortgage fraud. It's like you can't make this shit up. It's crazy. So here we go. Shifty Schiff, who used to have bug eyes, who used to call him Bug Eye Schiff, and for some strange reason, he no longer has bug eyes. Looks a lot different. Used to have a pencil neck. That doesn't look like a pencil neck to me. No bug eyes, no pencil neck. Maybe justice has already been done. All right. I have always suspected Shifty Adam Schiff was a scam artist, and now I learned that Fannie Mae's Financial Crimes Division have concluded that Adam Schiff has engaged in a sustained pattern of possible mortgage fraud. Trump posted on Truth Social Tuesday. All right, so just yesterday. So this blew up yesterday. Adam Schiff said his primary residence was in Maryland to get a cheaper mortgage and rip off America when he must live in California because he was a congressman from California. I always knew Adam Schiff was a crook. The fraud began with refinance of his Maryland property on February 6, 2009. So this is a long-term fraud and continued through multiple transactions until the Maryland property was correctly designated as a second home in October 13th, 2020, Trump added. Trump believes Schiff should be brought to justice for the alleged mortgage fraud, possibly hinting at a criminal investigation to come. So they go after the low-hanging fruit first, guys, and then they start working themselves to the top. Who will be at the top? That remains to be seen, but it will be very interesting when we get close to that. So these two clowns obviously are being exposed, and that's going to expose the much wider, much deeper mortgage fraud that the Democrat Party is using.
Yes, Natasha, the Federal Housing Finance Agency is alleging that State Attorney General Letitia James engaged in mortgage fraud, and now the agency has made a criminal referral to the Justice Department seeking federal prosecution. The agency is alleging that Attorney General James falsified records in order to get home loans for a property in Virginia they say she claimed as her principal residence in 2023. According to the federal agency, as Attorney General, James is required by law to have her primary residence in New York. The agency also alleges that James, in numerous documents, misrepresented a building she bought in Brooklyn, saying it only had 4 units instead of 5. And they allege that James purchased another property with her father as a co-signer, but falsely listed the pair as husband and wife in 1983 and 2000. But these allegations are somewhat similar to the ones that President Donald Trump faced. James won a civil case against Trump in 2023 that found him guilty of overvaluing his properties in order to take out more favorable loans. Trump is currently appealing that decision. In a statement, James' office said, quote, Attorney General James is focused every single day on protecting New Yorkers, especially as this administration weaponizes the federal government against the rule of law and the Constitution. She will not be intimidated by bullies, no matter who they are. Attorney Imran Ansari weighs in.
What's ironic about this is that Trump and
all right, so
called out.
We have Letitia James basically saying, I had to commit fraud so that I could expose Trump. And how dare he and the Department of Justice, expose my fraud, pretty much. So this is amazing. But I tell you, this is low-hanging fruit. It's a very, very low-hanging fruit. Let me give you a little sample. So this is 2 years ago when I did this one interview. I did many interviews with Sean Taylor, basically exposing mortgage fraud and how they use the mortgage fraud and how widespread it is coming in through Maricopa County, Arizona, the place where a lot of elections are stolen. And why is that? So they can keep this money laundering scheme going, guys. It's rampant. It's rampant. And it's getting exposed now.
Then that gets me into a guy by the name of Glenn Funk. Glenn Funk here is a district attorney over in Davidson County, and he was part of a Republican PAC called the Standard PAC. The Standard PAC was at a company called, it was located in Nashville at a restaurant called The Standard. The second floor of The Standard was a Standard Club where the political PAC was run out of. And it is a Republican PAC, or supposed to be, but even though Mr. Funk is
So there you go. It's not just Democrats, it's also Republicans too. It's a political class of corruption, guys. Like we've been saying, there's very few of these people that are high integrity. They're all money laundering. They're all getting scams. They're doing, stuff off the stock market, insider trading. It's a corruption that has to be exposed and done away with.
Democrat, a liberal Democrat. He was given money by the Standard PAC and by the owner of the Standard to help run for office.
Wow.
And that goes in
To help run for office. They use the money laundering to run for office, to stay in power, to attack their political opponents, through lots of different means, right? Even hiring prostitutes or something to, like a Jeffrey Epstein sting like type of operation, and then they use blackmail to control them.
We'll get into that here in just a minute, about $100,000 donation that came directly from Maricopa County.
I know that Mr. Funk, I looked it up, and he's under investigation because people within his office say that they were surveilled by his office or whatever. Is that correct?
That is correct. Actually, this past Friday, they served a search warrant there on the district attorney's office, and it just happened to be the following Monday that my house was shot up. I find that kind of ironic considering some of the individuals we're looking at.
So, John Taylor's my friend, and I love his family, and very few people would laugh about having their house shot up, but he's a kind of crazy guy like me, on the fringe, loves weapons, loves to expose stuff, pushes the envelope, exposing these people. He's laughing because they didn't get him, but now he's on the run. He's living place to place, but he's still exposing. He's undercover, doing a lot of stuff. He tried to stay above board, and they kept taking him out, almost literally.
Directly to him, and we're showing a lot of money that's going directly to him from Arizona.
Right.
So, he's very interesting. He's been under investigation numerous times before he became a DA and after he became a DA. One of the last times that he was under investigation, they allowed him to purchase his way out of it versus charging him. Now, the common man, they won't allow them to do that. If we do something, we're expected to deal with it, and we're not going to be allowed to purchase our way out of it. So that goes into some of your other people. Of course, everybody knows Al Gore is a native Tennessean, and that's what brought a lot of this stuff here, he and his family. That goes down to some individuals here that we've already identified before. Goes into other members of the judiciary.
So, over several shows, Sean Taylor basically exposed the Gore family as criminal family, right? Many, many different criminal activities. So it's rampant in the political party, guys. These guys are not politicians; they're criminals using politics as a facade, as a way to cover themselves as they commit crimes.
Here, one of them is currently, he just got out of prison. His name's Casey Moreland, and he was involved in a lot of things as well, including some stuff with the Standard PAC and things of that nature. We have different judges, district attorneys that are involved that we've identified. It's funny because this gentleman right here, Mr. Judge Woody Woodruff, he came here to Williamson County out of Maricopa County, Tennessee. And it's kind of funny because he was an attorney, and right before he became a judge, he actually represented the former governor, Bill Haslam, and Bill Haslam had him appointed to a judge. And of course, where's it at? Williamson County, where we're getting majority of our stuff happening that's tied to Maricopa County. And of course, that's the same location that Jack Johnson, the state senator, is at and over. And a lot of that's going to tie into some of your private prison industry. As a matter of fact, our new government.
So the private prison industry is a big money scam. They try and make criminals to put in that system so they can make money and that's what they do. For frivolous charges, they're throwing people in prison for long periods of time, and they're, pretty much going out after people to try and make them look bad. And they get a little info on somebody, and then they go and do a sting operation and make it look like some kind of massive drug operation, when all they're doing is just smoking a joint or something. So I'm just using an example, but this is what the prison system is doing now. It's a made-for-profit industry, and a lot of these politicians and judges are involved in it. Now we're going to go into the mortgage fraud.
Our current governor, just appointed a guy over our prison industry here in Tennessee that is originally from Maricopa County, Arizona.
Wow.
So, we've got a lot of stuff moving in here from Arizona. We have different judges. It's funny because one of the judges here in Williamson County just happens to be the wife of Senator Jack Johnson. That's involved in a lot of this. Now, one of the new updates that we have is the district attorney, Kim Helper. Kim Helper is involved in a lot of this, and Kim Helper died approximately a week and a half ago. And
really? Wow.
Yeah.
What was the circumstances? How did she die?
From what I understand, it was a stroke. And died suddenly.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've heard, we all know what that's generally tied to.
Yeah.
Not making light of her death, and I wish that on anybody.
Sure.
But, it's strange.
Yeah.
One of the other gentlemen that this stuff is tied to, I told you about the standard pack, is a guy named Josh Smith. I'm trying to see here. This particular location happened to sell for, again, you can see right here, Scottsdale, Arizona.
Mm.
This place here, again, Frio Company, this is 15 properties. And this 15 properties, this is your property schedule. These are 15 properties. None of them are worth more than $200,000.
Mm-hmm.
These homes. And so basically, again, it's the same deal. They end up quick deeding it for $10. And to Frio Company Progress, they're out of Maricopa County. And these are just all the deeds on those properties. It's funny because when I started digging into a lot of the stuff, a lot of these people didn't exist. And of course, where does it go? Straight to DeKalb County, Georgia.
Wow.
And,
yeah, all the different tie-ins.
Right. And this one here sold for, again, pretty close to $500 million for those 15 houses. And those 15 houses maybe are worth about $200,000 each. So on a 30-year mortgage, we can add maybe another $100,000. So that's $300,000. So, you've just got a few $1 million that those 15 homes are worth, but yet they pay $500 million for them. So
there you go. There's $500 million that's basically money laundered very quickly. It is, and that's just one area. That's Maricopa County, and of course DeKalb, Georgia, involved with it. Georgia, very corrupt state. Georgia Guidestones got blown up. Lots of problems in a lot of these states, guys. And now we're starting to see a lot of this money being funneled into Tennessee. Obviously, Tennessee is one of the places where they want to control. They want to control Tennessee. The Dixie Mafia there and so forth, or how much they're involved. There's lots and lots of, Al Gore family, many different tie-ins to political mortgage fraud and so forth. So Adam Shifty Shift and Letitia James are the tip of what I believe is going to be exposed. And like I said, Sean Taylor, coming on my show for the first time, has risen to the point where he is the guy that is behind the exposure of all of this. What amazing man, right? And just a fluke that he came on my show because my son Michelangelo used to do my email, and he used to screen the email. And Sean Taylor sent in the email, and he talked to Sean Taylor, and he's like, "Hey, this guy looks like he would be a great guy for your show." And I was like, "Well, what's he about?" And he told me, and I was like, "Let's get him on." So, it's amazing. So eventually we got to the point where, Sean Taylor was on our show quite a bit. My producer, Tracy Jago, is very much involved in that. She's trying to keep up with him, where he's at. And hopefully we get him back on the show within a few weeks. I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting to catch up and see, where he's at. And if you see a lot of stuff coming from, if you see, which I believe is going to happen, Shifty Schiff basically go to jail. He's probably going to be prosecuted and go to jail. All right, they're getting serious with this stuff. Letitia James, probably the same thing. And then it's going to roll into somebody else, and then somebody else, and then somebody else, and it's going to start to domino, because this is a massive scam that the political parties have been using to fund their elections, keep themselves in power, pay off judges, pay off media. Yes, the media is involved quite a bit, and some of these media, just like the politicians that practice pedophilia, some of these media types are involved with that as well. So that's another level. So we're talking mortgage fraud, and then another level, which Sean is also involved in, is the pedophilia. So it is, and he's talked briefly about that on my show on a couple occasions, but it's a whole nother level again, as we've discussed with a lot of other people. But you have to have everything lined up for criminal prosecution, because these guys are very, very clever. They have massive, as you guys just saw, just from a group of properties, they had $500 million, in scam money to divvy out amongst themselves and use. That's just one. Sean has been into a lot of different ones. So he's talked about trillions of dollars, and we're talking about not only Arizona, of course, California, and a lot of other areas. So Gavin Newsom probably could be easily involved in this. Not involved. He is involved, but he could also very easily, I believe, be prosecuted for some of this stuff, because he's gotten houses that are worth multiple millions of dollars somehow, and that's slightly been exposed, just the beginning stages. So that's the way this works a lot of times. You get a little bit of exposure, and then they circle back with more damning information, and then they expose again. And the press gets it because the social media exposes it like we're doing, and people start to hear about it. They start to talk about it, and then the media has to talk about it because everybody else is talking about it. And that's the way this thing rolls, guys. That's the way these guys come down. Yeah, fires and flooding everywhere, stealing land. That's right, Brian. And that's another way that they use mortgage fraud and take this land on and all kind of crazy stuff. So that is also tied in to the mortgage fraud. Gavin Newsom was all giddy, like a little, so, remember, he was like, yeah, and we have all these entrepreneurs that are going to come in and buy this land up. That's land that people, their homes were on that for generations, and you're all giddy because entrepreneurs are going to come in and just, buy that land on the cheap. Remember that? Any of you guys remember seeing that? Yeah, Gavin Newsom's involved in this. Gavin Newsom, a lot of politicians are involved in this. It's being exposed now. All right, very good stuff. All right, so political, as they're saying, breaking political earthquake. Department of Justice fires Maureen Drum roll, please. Comey, Maureen Comey, fired from the Department of Justice. Federal prosecutors have filed key court docs to keep Epstein files under seal. All right, so President Trump just recently, he's been back and forth on this. It's like, why are people involved in the Epstein file stuff? And so I guess he feels a little heat, all right, from the people, because he's like, I don't know what's real and what's not sometimes with the stuff that's put out that Trump says. I wouldn't get all like fluffy and emotional about anything that you see about that, about Trump and Newsom. Yeah, Newsom. I saw somebody say Newsom. Yeah, Janet, noose him. Right? And so many should be, right? And should have that name moniker, like tied around their neck like a bow tie. And so there's a lot of people that are involved in Justice Department, Manhattan Justice, and the Department of Justice, Maureen Comey, right? So Comey's daughter, who used to be FBI head, James Comey. So that's his daughter, and she's been involved with hiding the Epstein files. Yeah. Recall that Maureen Comey filed the key court declarations to keep the Epstein files from being released under Freedom of Information Act. And then you remember it was after they got it out of there, and that was Maureen Comey that was restricting it from coming out. And then it sat on Pam Bondi's desk. Remember, she said, I have all this stuff on my desk. And then I don't know, just sat there. They're like, okay, how we're going to use this stuff? How we're going to get these guys? That's pretty much where it's at, guys. So just like 2+ years ago on my show, we're talking about the mortgage fraud. We have all the documents for it. Those documents you just saw went to the Department of Justice with Sean Taylor. And that was several months ago. That's all I can tell you about that. And I don't know, maybe I should be telling. I don't even know if I'm cleared to tell you that, but no one told me I couldn't. So there you go. All right. So we're seeing a lot of this stuff get exposed, and more stuff get exposed. And the heat and the pressure is on these guys, and probably a lot of people are trying. So once you go after Letitia James and Shifty Boy Shift, who's probably already been dealt with, some kind of lookalike guy like Joe Biden, you have all the other ones, hundreds of them, that are now scrambling, trying to cover everything up, trying to burn everything, trying to kill people that are possible witnesses or know something, or use some kind of, blackmail. I will kill your children if you say anything, and whatever. So you have a lot of that going on right now. Think about it. These are just two knuckleheads. Low-hanging fruit, easy to pluck, right? And then you have lots of snakes and squirrels and all kind of stuff running around up the higher branches of the tree, and they're trying to go higher, right? And all the other hanging fruit that can't get away, you're going to get caught, and that's going to give them more cover. So there's a lot of it. There's a lot of them, and a lot of them you don't even know about yet. You don't even know about them yet. And then you're going to hear about them, and unless there's a big case that can be made against them, which I'm sure they're trying to do, they're not going to get justice. That's why this takes so long, because they know once they disclose, there's going to be runners, right? It's going to be runners. Notice how all those people have left the country. I don't like Trump, I'm leaving. Yeah, you're leaving because you're weak, and they're coming for you, and you're going to try and get some distance. And then we have them attacking from foreign lands. It's like once you leave the United States, you think they just disappear off the radar completely. but magically, the press picks up their comments. So that should really key you into this person that's getting press on their comments that left America because they said it was because of Donald Trump, Trump derangement syndrome stuff. Why are they getting any voice? It's because they're part of the corruption. They're part of the corruption cycle, and they're trying to like get anyone that they can involved in this, and they want those particular people to get out. So it's harder for the Justice Department to come after them, question them. Kind of like P. Diddy, if he knew that they were coming to get him, he left. He left. It's like, I'm done with America for whatever reason. And then he packs up and leaves, months before they did the sting operation on all of his properties. So that's what some of these people are doing. Some of these people are leaving America because they know they're weak, or someone has sent them away because they know things and they want to keep distance. So as things start to progress and more people get wrapped up and more people start to talk, some of those people that disappear from America, you might see them have accidents. And I'm pretty sure you will. They're going to have accidents. They're going to commit suicide because whatever reason, or they're going to shoot their mate and then turn the gun on themselves. But they're going to shoot themselves first, and then their mate's going to get shot if they did the analysis, which they want, because somebody's going to be corrupt that's going to go in and check that out. So lots of stuff like that. Lots of stuff like that's coming. It's already here. It's already here. There's like triple homicides happening in the music industry, in the I think they killed a lot of those people with a shot. I think they knew who to target with what type of shot, right? Yeah, you need your COVID shot. You're basically in a Hollywood healthcare plan. You need to have your shots if you're going to stay in a healthcare plan. If you don't do the shots, then we're not going to be able to cover you anymore. So we've seen a massive number, way out of proportion, of Hollywood actors and so forth that have died. Of course, they don't have to pay them any royalties anymore, do they? Right? So there's always multiple reasons why they take some of these people out, right? So you're going to see more and more and more of that from this group of satanic leftist, right? So it's not gonna slow down, and you just have to keep your eye on all the stuff that's going on. So worldwide, President Trump is not just focused on America; he's focused on the world. So why is Israel bombing Syrian military, right? So Israel, interestingly, destroyed Hamas. Israel destroyed Hezbollah. Israel is destroying Iran. Israel is now destroying the Muslims in Syria, right? So all these extremist Muslims guys are getting absolutely hammered right now. And Israel never would have done this before in the past. When has Israel gone on this type of destructive spree all over the Middle East? Never, right? Usually they attack Hamas, take a break for several years, attack Hezbollah for several years, take a break for several years, maybe throw something at, I don't know, Iran, make threats or whatever, maybe bomb something in Iran, I don't know. But now it's Yemen. Yemen is another place. Yemen, Iran, Syria, Lebanon, and in their own backyard in Palestine, right? Gaza. That's a lot. That's a lot for one little tiny nation, guys. Where is it coming from? That's right, Big Daddy Trump. So Israel's doing the dirty work right now of cleaning the Middle East of radical Islamists. So we're going to continue to see this. I think unless, and I've said this, and because it's taking so long, I think we're going to probably see some more attacks from the United States on Iran at some point. I think that that's going to kick off again, because there's been a pullback to see if the destructiveness of the Israeli initial strikes, and then of course the U.S. Incredible strikes that we did from B-2 bombers and submarine launched missiles. What effect that had on weakening the political structure there in Iran. So with Hezbollah, Hamas, and other groups, basically that Iran has funded, now that most, if not all of them, have been destroyed, because they would rely on some of those groups, Hamas and Hezbollah groups, to come back and help them fight the public, the people that would rise up against them. So if the people, I think, with the backing of Mossad agents that have infiltrated into Iran, if they're not able to topple that regime soon could be weeks or months. I don't think it's going to be months. But if they are not able to topple it, you're going to see some more strikes to weaken them some more, so that the people can finish the business there, right? So that's I think that's where we're at. So Iran is the fomenter of all the political and radical terror that happens around the Middle East. It also funds all of these different groups that go into like England, Spain, Paris, or France, you name it, European country. I believe they're funding that too. Although I have not seen that or have not done the research on that, I feel very strongly that they are, because when I was in Lebanon, we were getting hints of that. When I worked for the CIA, right? They were telling me specifically, but I could hear things. Things were said that I heard, right? And that's good, because I can relay that to you now. All right, so let's look at the craziness that's going on in Europe right now.
It is anarchy in parts of Spain, France, and the UK right now, as migrant gangs from Northern Africa and the Middle East violently try to take over and intimidate innocent people. Spain is currently in crisis, with ongoing clashes between migrant gangs and Spaniards following the violent bashing of an elderly man in Torre Pachato. And again in Spain, a man with a baby was callously threatened by a knife-wielding gang for simply walking.
All right, so see, this guy's got the knife behind his back. This guy was doing the baby carriage, out for baby carriage stroll, and gets confronted with a gang with this guy wielding a knife.
Down the street.
This guy must be a badass, because he's just pushing that one guy away, and this guy's coming up, and this whole group, he's standing off with this whole group and one guy with a knife.
And in the tourist mecca of Barcelona, the cobblestone laneways are no longer filled with people enjoying their vacations, but with hundreds of Muslim men chanting.
Where's all the women?
This commentator sent a stark warning, saying, if you wanted to visit Barcelona, Spain, now it's looking like Islamabad, Pakistan.
I have been to Islamabad, Pakistan, and is nowhere near that bad. So this is this is atrociously bad.
France is also in a migration mess, with violence running rampant in the streets, like at the Fête de la Musique last month, where hundreds of young people were stabbed with syringes and property set alight.
Remember all those women that were stabbed with needles? So this is really, it's a European problem. They have allowed this to come in. We have done the same here in America over the last 4 years.
Online commentators were in shock with the footage, with this person saying, "This is France? This looks like Ghana, not France." And 2 women were left injured and terrified after their car was surrounded and destroyed by rioters following the PSG Champions League victory. In the UK, the situation is even more dire, with daily occurrences of violent bashings and stabbings by migrant groups on innocent local victims.
Again, where's all the women? But when the women show up, like those 2 unfortunate women that were in that car, you saw just what happened. They're lucky they survived and weren't raped. Where are the women? They don't come with women, guys. They're the invading force. They're taking over our cities.
Knife crime is at an all-time high, with people being randomly targeted on the streets.
I have seen this. Londoners, they stand their ground. That's pretty incredible. I have seen this. I was in London like a little over a year ago, and I saw a confrontation like this between a Muslim man and a white Londoner, right? And this Londoner just like came out and it's like, and other Muslim man came in and started to get involved. This guy held his ground. I was like, oh, this is going to get into a fight. But the British guy was just like, he was analytically dissecting everything. You did this, you did that, you did this. But he was standing his ground. He's ready to fight. But he was like, he wasn't emotional. And he was just standing his ground. It's kind of like this guy. He's standing his ground. It's crazy.
Women's advocacy group Women's Safety Initiative is speaking up about the issue to raise awareness about the dire state of play in the UK at the moment.
The silent impact of mass migration on women's daily lives in the UK is a stark reminder of the point that we have got to in this country. A country that has chosen multiculturalism over assimilation, ultimately leading to what we have now. Our communities with limited cross-cultural understanding. Let's take a look at Borsley Green, one of the most dangerous areas you could possibly live in Birmingham, with 181 crimes per 1,000 residents, and a large portion of these crimes being sexual and violent offences.
Do you think that this woman in that crowd of Muslim men would have stood half a chance? Absolutely not.
Now let me make it clear, the demographic of this ward is significant. Less than 10% of this ward account for white British people. Violence and sexual offences constitute the largest crime category in Borsley Green, making 50.3% of all crimes reported. They are averaging at about 150 to 160 violent sexual offences committed every month.
And commentator Matt Good.
So this is the way Muslim men are brought up. This is the way the Muslim men think, guys. I've seen this for 30 plus years that I, worked in the Middle East as a SEAL and then a CIA contractor. I remember as a SEAL, we were training the Kuwaiti dive team, kind of like SEALs, but not so much. But anyway, we're training them and we're hanging out with them. And this was back when Baywatch was very popular. And so they had it on. It was like a big celebration for them. So they're all like, hooting and hollering, and they gather around in front of the TV. And we're in the back, kind of watching. Like, look at these guys going off on, watching this. How about that? Funny. And so we asked them and said, well, why don't your women, run around in bikinis? What, what's up with that? And they're like, oh no, our women would never do that. We would not allow that. And so, kind of conversation goes on. We're like, well, what do you think about American women, in bikinis? And they're like, oh, they're all whores. Of course they're in bikinis. And they believe that because they're whores, because they have bikinis, or they dress without a burqa, or, they're not completely covered. And if they're not with a male escort, like a brother or father or husband, that they're open game for sexual assault. They're no more than whores then. So this is the way they think.
When agreed.
So a 24-year-old man has been brutally murdered on the streets of London, outside a luxury hotel, by another man who was allegedly trying to steal his watch. This is merely the latest horrific symbol of how out of control and horrific London has become. Just look at the stats. Shoplifting is up 54%. Theft from the person is up 41%. 70,000 phones were stolen from people in this city last year alone. There's a rape every hour. Sexual offences are through the roof. And it's not just the crime that bothers me. London has also become a symbol for liberal progressives of how they'd like to see the rest of the country. But do you really want the rest of the country to look like London?
So again, a lot of the Democrat cities are like this. That's why they're protecting the immigration. They believe in this. But you see what the crime rate is, guys. It's not a problem until they're directly impacted by it.
Hundreds of thousands of people who don't speak English, our national language, hundreds of thousands of illegal migrants, hate marches on the streets of our capital city every week, pro-Hamas, pro-Hezbollah hate marches.
And all of this stark evidence and footage of countries overrun by violence and division, yet their governments and leadership do absolutely nothing. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer seems to be more concerned about protecting the illegal migrants than protecting his own people. Reform UK's Zia Yusuf slammed the Prime Minister for his incompetence on the issue.
It's all garbage. No one's listening, which is why his approval ratings have collapsed at historic speed. There's north of 1.2 million people here in this country illegally already. They are crossing the channel illegally at record numbers, right? So things aren't not improving fast enough. They are getting demonstrably worse every single week. And the only way we're going to solve this problem...
The English language, demonstrably. Love it, love it. So it is getting worse, as he says. And it's getting worse in the big cities of the United States, Democrat cities, because they're liberal, they're leftist, the same mentality, the same type of thinking as the radical, liberal, Muslim cities. And that doesn't mean that all Muslims are bad guys. Of course, not all Christians are bad, not all Jews are bad, not all Hindus are bad. So, but for a good proportion, there is some problems within the Muslim community, all right? And that's not going to go away anytime soon, because that's fomented. That there's a lot of groups out there that benefit from that type of mentality, that violent behavior, that taking over another country's. I've seen this throughout the Middle East. I saw this in Yemen, where the radicals came in and basically took over Yemen. As we see now Yemen is like trying to bomb Israel and ships that are going by and all kind of crazy stuff. They're just totally radicalized. So this is not anything new in the Middle East, but it has to be cleaned up. And what cleans it up? Taking out the radical Iran political class. They have to be removed, right? And then we'll start to see a domino effect. And then, of course, it needs to go into the governments of Europe that are radicalized. It needs to go into the cities, mayorships that are radicalized throughout Europe, and also the U.S. We have governors that are radicalized. We have mayors that are radicalized, and they're allowing this to basically destroy the cultures that are there. So at what point do we, start to say enough is enough? Because we haven't done that yet. We've been enablers of a lot of this. So we have to stop. If you want to come to America, you have to conform to our culture, right? You're not going to change our culture, and they're trying to change our culture. Just look at Texas. They're creating whole towns in Texas. Now, this has happened in other groups as well. This is not just Muslims. You look at the Mormons. The Mormons did the same thing in Utah, but they're starting for the first time to be less than 50% of the population of Utah. So they're becoming, marginalized. Of course, the Muslim communities throughout most of the U.S. are marginalized, but they could quickly and very easily gain areas, just like we saw in New York, where we have a radical Muslim, which is basically going to be the mayor of New York. Okay, the same thing happened in London. So we have to push back on it. You're going to be part of our culture, or you're not welcome. Period. You're not welcome. You have to leave. You have to go back to your country, and you can practice your radicalized ideals there, right? So that's where it has to go, guys. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. President Trump is trying to do that now.
Mike, restore a social contract that is hanging by a thread in this country is by deporting every single one of those 1.2 million people who are here. We need to be standing up enormous amounts of detention capacity. We need huge numbers of charter flights. We need return agreements with countries to take these people back. And if they don't take them back, we need to be doing things like stopping issuing visas altogether. We need to be scrapping the foreign aid.
And Starmer's latest humiliation. His deal with Emmanuel Macron of France over illegals, which commentators believe will have absolutely no impact on fixing the current issue.
As far as their main kind of policies go, one of them they bang on about because of that ridiculous and ludicrous summit, as we called it here, between Emmanuel Macron and Keir Starmer. They seem to think that finding some form of middle ground and finding an agreement on stopping the migrants is going to stop them. Well, it isn't. They've now got the idea of Vivek Cooper has they're going to send some people back to Iraq. I'll believe it when I see it. Nothing.
Well, we are doing that here in America, thanks to the people of America, because we elected Donald Trump, right? So there was enough of us to push that, and that was one of the things that we wanted to have done when he took office, and he has been doing that very vigilantly and very aggressively, and it will continue. But at the current rate of sending away the legal aliens that are here, we're looking at 10 years, if no more come. So it's going to take time to get rid of all the illegal people that are here, and those that have become legal citizens, but still practice radical ideas and push radical ideas and try and take over communities and cities and create their own cities, which are nothing like America, right? They have to be removed as well, guys. Right? So that's a very tough nut to crack, and because there's not going to be a lot of people that are going to support that. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but unless we fix that too, we're going to continue to have these problems. But of course, we have to go far afield, unfortunately, to fix some of those problems. Blood covenant, Iran state media back bounty. So here you have, just like America, you have a radical political class and state-run radical media. Same as America, guys. We have a lot of radical people that are in political positions. 2 death warrants against President Donald Trump issued within Iran, and broadcast on state media have morphed into a blood covenant in which more than $40 million bounty on President Trump's head has reportedly been raised as a bounty on the U.S. president. Iran's senior religious cleric. So this is where it gets really dicey on another level. So all the Muslims that are here in America, they've basically been put on notice by this statement. Iran's senior religious clerics have made it clear that every cell of the resistance in the West is charged with carrying out this sentence, as Trump is an enemy of Allah who must be killed. The blood covenant claims to have raised nearly $40.3 million for the president's assassination. Now, the one guy that was in Butler, Pennsylvania, there seems to be, I don't know why they haven't pulled it out yet, but there seems to be some communications with Iran. Now, is that a plant? Is that real? You might remember that President Trump has said in the past that if Iran assassinates him, he would hope that America would, blow the hell out of Iran. All right. So now that seemed random at the time, but now we're starting to get that there very potentially was some kind of communication that was going on, which wouldn't surprise me because the Democrats and the radicals in Iran are pretty much one and the same. But there was some kind of communication with the shooter in Butler and Iran. So he had several different phones, and one of those phones seems to be connected with Iran guys. So, I've heard that. I don't know how true that is, if that was seeded disinformation or what, but it does stand to reason that there is something more going on there because of what Trump has said and so forth. So, and of course we have the second shooter that was on the golf course where he was, who was very involved in recruiting people to go fight for Ukraine, right? So another radicalized Democrat-like place. Now, I can't say it's Democrat. I just say, let's just say radicalized political class of America. I think that's more appropriate because we had with John McCain, that was part of the process of helping to radicalize Ukraine, because he went and spoke there, and I know that Senator John McCain was actually involved in al-Baghdadi because he came to Pakistan, and I saw him flying. So CIA, radical part of CIA, because I'm in the CIA, the good guy side, and I'm saying, why don't we go after al-Baghdadi? He is, and this was before